Hello, everyone. It's time for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. This is episode 226, season 10. Today's date is June 6, 2023, and welcome to the show. This is the first show of season 10. I'm very excited about that. On today's program, I will talk about the Sheridan Drive-In Theatre that was located in Bridgeview, Illinois. And also I'll do tributes to two actors that passed away recently. One is George Maharis and Barry Newman. And I'll talk about their careers and my memories of watching them on television. So this should be very interesting. Okay. First off, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by California Cooler. Oh boy, another bygone product from the 80s that went bye-bye. So here's a commercial from 1985, and I think a lot of people would remember this commercial very well during that time. So sit back and relax, and I'll be right back with the program. Thank you, everyone.
I hate California. You know what I'm saying? It's like, have a nice day, surf's up, I mean, their idea of culture is yogurt. Formal dinner party means you wear socks. Blondes everywhere, pink tofu, excuse me, soy burgers. I really hate it. I even hate what they drink.
What do you have, buddy?
One of those.
California Cooler. One more reason to hate California.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for California Cooler. I found this on YouTube the other day. I had to download it. I remember this distinctly, during the 80s. And the guy who's speaking in the commercial, that's actor Matt Craven. He's a Canadian actor. He appeared in a lot of movies, like, for example, A Few Good Men, Jacob's Ladder, Disturbia, X-Men First Class. He also made a lot of TV appearances, like, for example, NCIS, LA Doctors, Resurrection. And so he was, one of his earliest movies he starred in was Meatballs with Bill Murray. That movie still makes me laugh. And he was also in Crimson Tide. He's one of those faces that you see, but you don't know his name. Let's see what else on TV he was in. Yeah, he was on a lot of television like that. As for the product of California Cooler, this hit big during the mid-1980s. This was the wine cooler age. Like, for example, remember Bartles and James? Also, Seagram's wine coolers. For Bartles and James, you remember these two older men sitting in front of the porch, hawking this product. Also, for Seagram's wine coolers, I remember Bruce Willis did a few commercials about this product. That was during when he started moonlighting. I remember that, and I think you can find it on YouTube. I haven't found it yet myself. I feel bad for him because he's got what's that disease? Aphasia. So it's like dementia. Awful. I feel bad. My sympathies to the family like that. So he's retired. I don't think he can act anymore. So that's a shame. It's so sad. It's unfair like that. Okay. As for the wine coolers, they disappeared like 1987, 1988, and then poof, gone. I don't know if they're still around. I haven't paid attention. I don't go to liquor stores much, and I don't drink that often. I may have a beer once in a while. Wine, I'm not crazy about. Champagne, I like just on New Year's Eve. I haven't seen it. If I happen to visit a liquor store or if I'm at a grocery store that sells liquor, I'll keep an eye on it. I doubt it's there. I don't know. Nobody talks about them. Nobody talks about wine coolers. I haven't heard anything. Okay. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I said I would discuss the Sheridan Drive-In Theatre that was located in Bridgeview, Illinois, and also my tributes to actors George Maharis and Barry Newman. Before I get started, I'll talk about a couple of things that I want to mention. On the last episode, I talked about Clutch Cargo, and I still get responses from that. And people are still saying, "I love this cartoon. I hate this cartoon. It is creepy. It's wonderful. I don't know. You get all kinds of things. It's unbelievable. It really is. They still remember it, but everyone's opinions, they just post, and they said what I just mentioned. They love it, they hate it, et cetera, et cetera. It's amazing. It really was. Sometimes they do a podcast episode, and then they mention a few comments, and then boom, it's gone. They don't talk about it anymore. And then the second thing was I posted a photo yesterday of my where I graduated from Bogan High School. That was the 42nd anniversary of the day I graduated. I posted this photo before on Facebook, but this took by storm in a way because, first of all, most of my classmates didn't realize, wow, it's been 42 years? Oh my God, we're getting old. All of us are turning 60 this year, including myself, in October. And some of already have. And it's like, oh my God. It seems like yesterday we were in the cafeteria or at White Castle's hanging out, or, just at the hangouts at Toby's. There was a Barnaby's on the corner, Mr. Submarine across the street. There was a Tasty Freeze. In all the classes we attended, it was nice. It was great days. It really was. I still talk to everyone, mostly on Facebook. I really do. That's wonderful. I even talk to people that were in my class I never knew or never spoke to. I talk to them now here, so that's great. And so I win my cap and gown. It's all white like that, and boy, what a difference. It was held at the Erie Crown Theater downtown. So that was I think it was the last time that Bogan had their graduation ceremonies there. I think it was. I'm sure of it. I think they went elsewhere. I think they went to the Medina Temple afterwards, where my brother was. When he graduated in 83, I graduated in 81. So, so that was funny. It really was. Also, people are still talking about, one last thing. They're still talking about that incident where someone sent me a message saying, your page is stupid and it's full of crap and all that. So I get a lot of that. I went to church Sunday, and I ran into people, and they said, "Who is this person?" I said, "Well, I didn't say his name. I just told him what he's been going through, the reason why." So I reached out to him afterwards, and he hasn't replied or anything. Fine. If he wants to talk to me, I'm here, because I know what's going on with him. And it's kind of sad. It really is. Okay, so now let's get started with the show. I will talk about the Sheridan Drive-In Theatre in Bridgeview, Illinois. Now, I don't have much information about this theater, so I apologize. Just bear with me, so I'll do the best I can. I remember briefly about it, from people talking about it or from photos from the internet. So, okay, so we'll get started. So the theater opened on November 27th, 1959. I think that's Thanksgiving weekend. Could be wrong. And this was located at 79th Street and South Harlem Avenue in Bridgeview, Illinois. Back then, it wasn't that built up. There weren't many homes or businesses. So it was like out in the boondocks over there. And so it only had one single screen drive-in, and it was like, but it held a lot about, I don't know, a lot of cars. Like according to the website Cinema Treasures, it had a $1,500 car capacity. So I'm sure that's true. I don't know. And the first movies that played were The Screaming Skull and Terror from the Year 5000. Now, The Screaming Skull, I've heard of it, but not the other movie. And also The Wonderful Country that starred Robert Mitchum. And it had the, what's it call it? I can look it up. Something electric they had, electric heaters or something like that. So you stay in your car and you're heated like that. I'm not sure how that was. Oh yeah, it's electric in-car heaters. Oh, interesting, And they had a lot of concession stands. You can go get some popcorn, some hot dogs, maybe pizza. I don't know, but a lot of it had a huge snack bar. Some people bring their own food. I don't know if they want to. Also, there was this tradition that happens in every drive-in. This happened to me and other people, like when I went to the Double Drive-In Theater on West Columbus Avenue in Chicago. And you would put extra people in a trunk. And then when you enter and you pay your ticket, then they jump out and then they sit there. They always did that. They did it at the Sheridan Drive-In like that. And according to the ad in the Chicago Tribune, that was dated their opening day, November 27, 1959, they had a treasure hunt, and they would spread 2,000 coins all over the theater, and you would just pick, and everyone would just pick them up. And that was, and they had some entertainment, and the kids had free candy and balloons. So when you purchase a ticket, you would buy popcorn, Coca-Cola, or coffee for just 1 cent. Just a penny. Isn't that something? Not today. No. It's too expensive. Very expensive. It takes out the fun of going to the theater. You go broke when you go over there. You would use your credit card. And they had entertainment. Like, for example, they had the Moose Heart Clowns. I never heard of them. So that sounded like fun. It really did. It was very new back then. It was very exciting. I read somewhere on Facebook today, I think it's the 90th anniversary of the Drive-In Theater. I believe it is. And that opened in New Jersey, out there. I don't know about Chicago. Chicago probably opened much later. I don't know which one was the first. I'll do some research about that. And the theater, went on for years, and then, but it closed in 1986. I don't know why. Maybe business was bad. I don't know. And then they demolished it. And it took place at a shopping center, which I remembered. And the shopping center had, which I remember the stores, they had Venture, Auchan. I did a podcast episode about that grocery store that was from France. That was only here for a year. That was in 1989. I talked about that. And after Venture left, or I think there was a Zare there. I don't know. I think so. Yeah, I think there was a Zare. And, Auchan closed the grocery store, and then Omni Superstore came. And then it turned into Dominic's, I believe. Let's see. So, and I think maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So when Zare closed, they had a store called Ames. I remember that. I went to these stores during that time, but I had no idea about the Sheridan Drive-In. I never went to this theater. Never. I had mentioned that I went to the Double Drive-In. I also went to Fort City Cinema, the Choral Theater that was on West 95th Street in Oak Lawn. What else? What other theater I went to? I guess that's it. I can think of one. I remember the Marquette Theater that was at 63rd Street, east of Kedzie. A lot of people remember that. A lot of people went to the Colony Theater on 59th and Kedzie. Went to that one. And so when I posted that sign, it was a color photo. Well, people are talking about their memories, and because they lived in the Bridgeview area or in Bridgeview itself, they loved going there. They had fun. It was a wonderful time. They remember the marquee was all lit and all that. On top, it was a zigzag tail like that. They also mentioned another drive-in theater was called the Starlight. That's at 95th Street in South Ridgeland, which is now the Chicago Ridge Mall. And across the street was the Studio Theater. I remember that. Okay. So that was very interesting. Yeah. I love talking about drive-in theaters. Theaters are fun to talk like that. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, I will talk about actors George Maharis and Barry Newman. I'll do a tribute of those. I'll talk about their careers and my memories of watching it on TV. Now, I'll be right back, folks. Thank you. Okay, everyone, I am back. Right now, I'm going to talk about actors George Maharis and Barry Newman. They just passed away recently. And I'll talk about my memories of watching them on television when I live in Chicago. I still do. So here we go. George Maharis was born September 1st, 1928. He passed away on May 24th of this year, a couple of weeks ago. He was an actor, singer. He was a painter, and he's best known in his role as Buzz Murdoch on the TV series Route 66, which when I was a kid, I sort of remember seeing it. I never watched it because it wasn't syndicated at the time when I was growing up. It was like, I don't know, wasn't shown much like that. And well, he was from New York, from Astoria, Queens, and his parents. I think his father owned a restaurant, like most Greek people do, like that. And then he got into acting, and he went to the actor studio to learn and all that. And then he got some TV roles in the 50s, small roles like that. And then he was cast in 1960 in the TV series Route 66 with actor Martin Milner, best known as Pete Malloy from Adam 12. And they would drive around this Corvette all over the country. It's kind of it was kind of a fun show to watch. And then so the show, it ran for 4 years, but he only started in about 3.5, really, like that. And he left because according to reports, he got hepatitis. But other reports say he didn't get along with his co-star. He got into arguments, and he didn't want to be stuck in a TV show. He wanted to do movies and, all that stuff. I mean, like that. I don't know if it was true. I think it was. Who knows? Like that. Anyway, the show, I never saw it, but around in the 80s when the cable channel Nickelodeon, they put on kids shows, but at night it went dark, I believe. They didn't show anything. Then they started doing Nick at Night, and then they showed reruns. Yeah, they showed that. The two shows I remember what they put on during Nick at Night were Dennis the Menace, I think, or Donna Reed, and Route 66. I remember that. And I started when I got cable in the late 80s, when I was in Chicago. They showed Route 66, and I started watching it, and it was great. I loved the show. It was wonderful. It was black and white. It drove around, all over the United States. They did do stops in Chicago. In fact, I found a photo online where they filmed a show at around the Tribune Tower downtown, and there's George Maharis and Martin Milner on top of the Tribune Tower. It's kind of cool like that. And I'm sure they visited Chicago before, but I think they did. I don't know which episode, but they filmed it there, and it was. I heard it was grueling. It really was. Well, Martin Milner was married and he had children, and he was away from his family. George Maher is single, so that didn't bother him. And so, like I said before, he had hepatitis and left the show. And then the show lingered on, and then actor Glenn Corbett took over the role, and it wasn't that popular, and they canceled it in 1964. And then George Maharis moved on. He starred in a lot of TV movies, like that. And I remember him from, like, for example, let's see, what did he start on? He starred in Macmillan and Wife, Mission Impossible, Night Gallery. He was in Rich Man, Poor Man, Ellery Queen, The Bionic Woman, Kojak, Fantasy Island, Matt Houston. Oh my God. And the last TV role he did was Murder, She Wrote, which I have on DVD, and I watched him. He was great at it. He really was, and like I say, he died on May 24th. He was 94 years old. So he lived a long life. Oh, wonderful. He had a great career. He also sang. He did he recorded some pop music. I've heard him sing. He's not bad, really, but they didn't become that popular. But he did record, so he had a side job doing that. But he was a painter, so he did that while he probably was when he was semi-retired, like that. According to someone on Facebook, mentioned that one of his siblings lived in Chicago. He had family here, which was interesting. Oh, that was interesting. Okay, so my condolences to the family. Okay, next up, I will talk about actor Barry Newman. Like, a lot of people would not remember him, maybe because of his face, but he was well known for one movie that was called Vanishing Point, and it was. It wasn't that popular. I mean, when it was released, it was all right, but then it developed a cult following, and then people remember it to this day, and they love this movie. They really do. They still do. I'm sorry. So that movie came out in 1971, and that movie was about it was about a ex-policeman. He was dissatisfied with his life, and he drove across country to California high on speed. He was taking uppers. And he's being chased by the police, and then he meets characters, some characters along the way, like that. Barry Newman's character was Kowalski, but he didn't have a first name, which was unusual. And also in the movie was Cleavon Little, if you remember him from Blazing Saddles, and also Dean Jagger. Remember him? And John Amos from Good Times. He was in that movie, like that. And I've seen the movie maybe once. I've seen clips, but I've seen it once on television. They used to play this a lot on Channel 9, WGN, late at night, or like the 10:30 movie. And I would catch that. And my brother's seen it. And they said, oh, it's a great movie. They first saw it before me, and said, "Yeah, you got to watch this movie." I said, "Okay, I watched this movie. I liked it. He was a good actor." Then his most famous role was on television. It was short-lived, and it was called Petrocelli. And before I get to Petrocelli, let me give you a little background on him. Barry Newman was born November 7, 1930 in Boston. He did some acting and did stage work, and then got into television and all that. But of course, and then that famous role was Kowalski in Vanishing Point. Okay, and so Petrocelli was a legal drama. He was a lawyer, full name Tony Petrocelli, and that first aired on NBC on September 11th, 1974. It only ran for 2 seasons. It was popular, but then it got canceled. But it did develop a cult following. So the premise of the show was he lived in South Boston, gave up the rat race over there, and then he moved to a town called San Remo in Arizona. There is no San Remo. They filmed it in Tucson, Arizona, with his wife, and they lived in a house trailer, and they're waiting for a house to be built. And they never. By the time the show was canceled, the house hasn't been built yet. Like that. His wife was played by Susan Howard. You may remember her from Donna Culver from the TV series Dallas. And also in the cast was Albert Salmi. He played like a local cowboy. He was an ex-cop. And also in the cast was David Huddleston. He was a lieutenant of the police. You remember him from Santa Claus, the movie with Dudley Moore in 1985. I remember that. A lot of people forgot that. Barry Newman was in a movie called The Lawyer before. That was about 4 years before, which I never knew that. And I never seen that movie. I'd like to see it. That'd be interesting. Anyway, so Petrocelli was a defense lawyer, and he would defend people if they committed a crime. Most of them got off, very well. I liked the show very much. I really did. I did watch a couple episodes during when it aired in the 70s. I remember the promos on Channel 5, in Chicago. And then it wasn't rerun much afterwards. Not really. I think in the 80s it aired in Channel 66. I think briefly. I think it did. I'm trying to remember. I think it did air. Did air there, and then I started watching it, and it was great. It was great, like that. And of course, the show is on DVD. Also, Vanishing Point, the movie. I'm sure it's there. So I haven't bought it yet, but I'd like to buy it someday. But kind of nice, add to my collection. But I love 70s crime dramas. Even short-lived ones, like that. Starsky and Hutch, Charlie's Angels, Beretta, Policewoman, Police Story, Kojak, all those great detective shows. They still have detective shows now, but back then was fun, with the big cars, with the yacht cars, and the clothes and the music. What a great time. It really is. And let's see. So Barry Newman died on May. Let's see. He hold on a second, please. Okay, he died on May 11th. So he died about a month ago. We didn't know. He was 92. Yeah, 92 years old. Yeah. Last time I saw him on TV was on, of course, Murder, She Wrote. He was there. He was there twice. From what I remembered. He did a TV role here, a TV role there, like that. So, but a lot of people remember him from Petrocelli and The Vanishing Point. That movie. Okay. Alrighty then. So that's it for this program. I'll do a recap of what I talked about. I talked about the Sheridan Drive-In Theatre that was located in Bridgeview, Illinois. Also, my tributes of actors George Maharis and Barry Newman. My memories of watching them on TV. The next podcast episode will probably be this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. We'll see. This podcast will be published later on today. It'll be available where podcasts are: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. Also on my YouTube channel, Van Chicagoland Stories. Also on my social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter. And of course on my blog, vanchicagoland.blog. Okay, so this episode wasn't really exciting as Clutch Cargo. Well, Clutch Cargo wasn't that exciting, but it was very exciting to Chicago fans like me and other people like that. So we'll see. We'll see what we talk about next time. All right. This is Pika Stein, your host for Van Chicagoland Stories. Thank you again for joining me. I had a wonderful time. Everyone have a wonderful day. So it's bye-bye for me. And here's Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone, and so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.